Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose, and, well, what do you know? There really was a Zelda announcement for 2023 that isn't Tears of the Kingdom related. Now, to be fair, this isn't really a game at all, but if you were hoping for a follow-up to the Mario movie, but with Zelda instead, well, come bearing good news, and we'll get into that today. Then also, Xbox announced a new partnership that could potentially change games as we know them today, though there's a lot of conflicting opinions on the matter, so we're going to discuss that as well. Before we get started, though, do make sure to subscribe and ring that bell. That way, every time I post a new video, it'll be delivered directly to your device. The goal right now is to get to 60,000 subscribers by the end of this year, so let's go ahead and make that happen. As always, I do truly appreciate you all. But with that said, let's just go and jump right into the video, starting off with actually a massive announcement. We actually got some official Grand Theft Auto 6 news today directly from Rockstar Games themselves. They posted this up over on Twitter where they said, "We are very excited to let you know that in early December, we will release the first trailer for the next Grand Theft Auto. We look forward to many more years of sharing these experiences with all of you. Thank you, Sam Hauser." So, there you go. It is finally happening. It's been 10 long years and a complete console generation since GTA 5 first launched on the Xbox 360 and PS3. That is hard to believe. But next month, we will get our first official look at GTA 6. And I mean, this is Rockstar essentially announcing that, yeah, the internet is about ready to explode. All things considered, this is going to be the biggest launch for the entire generation. GTA is such a powerhouse by this point. I mean, GTA 5, that game has sold 180 million units worldwide, which is absolutely crazy to think about. I mean, just to put that into perspective, we all know that Nintendo has been crazy successful this generation with their first-party games, and we always talk about how unbelievably good they've done, but even if you combine their top 4 best-selling games, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Animal Crossing New Horizon, Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Zelda Breath of the Wild, all of those games are absolute behemoths themselves, but even so, all of those combined still have not sold as much as GTA 5. So that's how insane Grand Theft Auto 5's success has been. So to say that there's a lot of anticipation for their next entry is probably a little bit of an understatement. December is already rich for game announcements with the Game Awards, but Grand Theft Auto 6 is now that headline game for December. This will be the single biggest announcement for the month of December, and it's going to be very interesting to see what Rockstar can do with these new platforms. Again, this is the first time we've seen a brand new GTA since the Xbox 360 days. And I mean, we know from Red Dead Redemption 2, Rockstar's technical expertise is still industry leading, and it's going to be fun to see that type of an advancement for the Grand Theft Auto series. I want to hear from you all, though. What is your one hope for GTA 6? Now, speaking of the Game Awards, though, they just announced that the nominees will be revealed next Monday on November 13th at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and I mean, I have to say, this might be the most interesting nominee announcement that we've seen in gaming in a very long time. Now, usually it's pretty easy to guess which games will be nominated, but because 2023 has been such a good year in gaming, there's just so many options to choose from this year. I mean, just off the top of my head, 2023 has given us Hi-Fi Rush, Resident Evil 4, you have Dead Space, Armored Core 6, Spider-Man 2, Starfield, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Street Fighter 6, Diablo, Sea of Stars, and I mean, the list just kind of goes on and on and on. There's just so many great games this year, and there's only 6 nominees. So with that, I do predict that there's going to be a lot of complaints online this year because not everybody's favorite games will be picked as a nominee, but that's something to keep in mind going into this. Personally, I'm not expecting all of my favorite games to be nominated because everybody has different favorite games, and I think especially for this year, there's not really a wrong choice. I mean, honestly, they could easily have 10 nominees, and I wouldn't even bat an eye over that because I think there's at least 10 games deserving of that nomination. It's just been that type of year, and it's going to be a tough year to narrow things down. Now, if I were to guess, I think Zelda, Spider-Man 2, and Baldur's Gate 3 are pretty much locks to be there. Maybe Alan Wake 2 as well. But the other two, I think, is where it's going to be really interesting. It's hard to tell exactly which games will be nominated. Let me hear your predictions, though, and also actually let me hear what your Game of the Year is. For me, I actually plan on releasing a Game of the Year video in December, so I'm going to go ahead and hold on to my answers for the time being, but do keep an eye out for that video. Okay, so let's go talk about Xbox here for a moment, because they announced a rather interesting partnership that has potential to change how games are developed and, in return, how the consumers play them. Now, there's a lot of conflicting opinions on this topic, but what's happening here is that they've officially partnered with Inworld AI to develop Xbox tools that will allow developers to create AI-powered characters, stories, and quests. Xbox developers will also be able to use these tools to create detailed scripts, dialogue trees, quest lines, and even more. We can actually see Microsoft's response here, where they said, "At Xbox, we believe that with better tools, creators can make even more extraordinary games. This partnership will bring together Inworld's expertise in working with generative AI models for character development, Microsoft's cutting-edge cloud-based AI solutions, including Azure OpenAI Service, Microsoft's research's technical insights into the future of play, and Team Xbox's strengths in revolutionizing accessible and responsible creator tools for all developers." Now, this will be an optional tool for developers, and it doesn't mean that entire games will be driven by AI dialogue. That is one confusion that I've seen online, but the idea here is to improve NPC interactions. Instead of having NPCs that has bland and maybe even voiceless dialogue, they can now use AI to enhance NPCs. They might be able to enhance dialogue to feel more lifelike and reactive to the player. They might be able to implement a personalized story specifically for you with an AI quest line. And then also for all of those big RPGs out there where a lot of times dialogue is voiceless in some situations, this could potentially fix that problem as well. They could have AI voices, which has been controversial all on its own. However, this is especially prevalent in JRPGs where only portions of dialogue is actually voiced. You also see this in CRPGs a lot of times as well. If you play these genres, you might know what I'm talking about. But a lot of what happens from this point forward really just kind of depends on how developers actually use these tools. I'm sure that it will continue to evolve over time. And I mean, just look at AI upscaling as an example and how quickly that's evolved and how beneficial it can be for both developers and gamers alike. But, and here's the thing, anytime we talk about AI tools, there's always another part of the story. It's become very clear, especially in the last few years, that AI is a big part of our future, and it is an extremely powerful tool, but there is a fear that people have. Will people's jobs be threatened by AI? That's the ongoing fear as AI continues to get better and better. And here we are seeing that same concern online. Will this replace writers in gaming? Will this replace handcrafted content that we very much like? Will this just lead to lazy development and more robotic worlds? There are a lot of questions that people have. And really, I just think that a lot of that kind of depends on how developers actually implement these tools. Look at procedural generation as an example. That's also an AI tool, and in a lot of cases, I do prefer handcrafted content in most situations, but there are certain games where it does actually feel good. Games like Hades or even Starfield, where it mixes in handcrafted and procedurally generated content. That's how they created 1,000 Planets. So I think if implemented properly, this could be another good tool for developers to utilize. It could make development easier, and it might even be able to speed up development, which really isn't talked about nearly enough right now. AAA development has ballooned up to like 6+ years by this point, and if AI tools can cut that process down, that could maybe be a big thing for the future of gaming. For the moment, though, I think just like with any other tool, we'll need to see how developers actually use it when it's in their hands. One thing is for sure, though, I would expect a lot more investment in AI technology, really just across the industry. We already have, in fact. Microsoft just announced this partnership with Inworld. We also know that Sony has an AI division that they are currently investing in. And of course, there's AI upscaling, which is becoming a major part of gaming. Now, when it comes to character dialogue, though, I think one of the big fears is just, it could affect writers specifically and maybe even the quality of the content. So I want to hear what you all think about all this. Do you think this is a good thing or bad? I'll tell you what is good, though. Zelda. I love me some Zelda. It's one of my all-time favorite franchises because, of course, it is. And as soon as the Mario movie came out, there was some hope out there that maybe, just maybe, Nintendo would do a Zelda movie as well eventually. Well, that eventually is now here. It is, in fact, happening. They just officially announced a live-action Zelda movie, though that is maybe a little bit unexpected. After the success of the Mario movie, I was thinking maybe they would do another animated movie. And honestly, for Zelda, I think a Studio Ghibli like art style would fit it very well. But instead, I guess they're going to go with live action. So they're going to have to find some actual actors that can fit these roles, which that alone is going to be quite interesting to follow. I mean, people were already freaking out about Chris Pratt voicing Mario, and that's just the voice alone. Now you're also bringing in character likeness as well, and we'll see how that shapes up. I'll reserve my opinion until we get a better look at the direction that they decide to go in. But the number one reason to be excited, in my opinion, is Miyamoto's involvement. He is one of the two producers alongside Avi Arad, which I guess has worked on a lot of different Marvel movies, but it's always great to see original creators kind of keep Hollywood in check to a degree. A lot of times when adaptations fail, it's really because Hollywood decided to make weird decisions, because that's what they do, but hopefully Miyamoto can kind of keep that from happening. Maybe he can keep this movie on track. Now, the director, though, will be Wes Ball, which previously worked on the Maze Runner series and the upcoming Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And then as for the writer, that is Derek Connolly, which worked on Jurassic World. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting choice, but here's something kind of ironic. Sony Pictures is co-funding this movie with Nintendo. So, you know, in a way, they might be longtime rivals in the gaming sphere, but here, they're good partners in the movie industry, and for all we know, this could actually blossom into a full-blown partnership with more movie adaptations in the future. I mean, we'll see how that works out, but I do think that this makes perfect sense when you start to think about it, though. You know, Sony has a successful film division. They also understand gaming very well with their PlayStation business, of course. They've already worked on various game-to-movie adaptations, and they're both based in Japan. So the partnership, it makes perfect sense. As a fan, though, I'm cautiously optimistic that this will turn out well. Anytime Hollywood is involved, I always kind of take a wait-and-see approach with them. I am curious to see what direction they go with in terms of art style, and just really what type of story they want to tell. I mean, with the Mario movie, that was just a fun ride, but with Zelda, it does have a little bit more of a mature tone to it, and it might prove to be a little bit more challenging in that sense. As an added bonus here, though, Zelda does have an opportunity to become even more recognizable than it already is. We've already seen how movies can impact games, and in some of the recent financial results, Nintendo did reveal just how much the Mario movie has impacted their Mario games, and it was incredibly positive. Nintendo's almost becoming bigger than just gaming, and they're going to be bringing in a lot more fans to their consoles. And I love that aspect of game-to-movie adaptations. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, would you all rather Insomniac Games focus on Marvel-related IP or original game IP like Ratchet & Clank? And mostly, it does seem like there's two different lines of thinking here. Most of you would prefer original content, but there is still a large portion that doesn't really care because they like both. And I can understand that sentiment. At the end of the day, Insomniac has proven that they know how to make good games. So, I mean, I really trust them no matter what they decide to do. But I will say, I don't want them to forget that game-first content either. I mean, I'm perfectly happy with Spider-Man. They've done a great job with that series, and if they ever decide to do Daredevil, hey, I'd be good with that as well. But I still want that original game content from them. I just hope that they don't become the superhero-only studio from this point forward. I do hope that they can kind of keep a balance between the two, and, well, sounds like a good portion of you all feel similar. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell the notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.